Welcome to English Through Ideas podcast, where we learn English through powerful ideas. What if I told you that the most common piece of advice you were given as a young person, the idea that you just need to find your passion, is actually destroying your chances of long-term success?
It sounds completely backwards, doesn't it? I mean, we are told our whole lives to just follow our passion.
Right, it's everywhere.
Exactly, but when you actually analyze the data, well, that advice is a trap. So today we are going on a special deep dive to really figure out why.
Yeah, we are looking back at, 100 different interviews with world-class experts, top athletes, and business leaders.
We've taken hours and hours of conversation and basically pulled out the most actionable, life-changing lessons.
And it is strictly focused on how you, the listener, can grow, improve, and understand your own psychology.
Right.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with that massive claim you just made. Because from the time we're in school, success is always framed around passion. Right?
Oh, absolutely. It's the ultimate goal.
Yeah. But in these interviews, treating passion like some magic Easter egg is presented as this huge mistake. People think you hunt for it, you find it once, and then boo!
Boom, you are happy and motivated forever.
Exactly. So why is this singular view so dangerous for our growth?
Well, the problem really comes down to basic biology and psychology. I mean, passion is an emotion.
Right.
And emotions naturally fade. They rise and fall. Passion is a great multiplier, you know? Like if you have it on a Tuesday, it gives you a fantastic burst of energy.
But it's not a permanent state.
Precisely. If you rely on passion to do your work, what happens on a rainy Thursday when you're just tired and the passion is completely gone?
You quit.
Yeah, you quit.
Yep.
Because your entire system was built on a feeling rather than a foundation.
Wow, yeah. That makes so much sense.
What the top performers in the world actually rely on is something called consistency of mind.
Consistency of mind.
Okay. Right. It's not about feeling intense excitement every single day. It's about having a consistent process for how you think and make decisions, even when your emotional energy is practically zero.
So they sort of detach their self-worth from those daily emotional highs and lows.
Exactly. And a big part of that consistency is how we judge our own decisions. There was this fascinating section in the sources about the danger of judging a decision purely by its outcome.
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember that. That concept really challenged me because, society usually only cares about the final score on the board, right?
It is the most common trap in modern business. Let's look at a real-world scenario. Imagine a corporate leadership team, and they make a terrible, careless decision.
Okay.
They don't do their research, they ignore the data, and they just launch a product blindly. But by pure luck, a competitor goes bankrupt the very next day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the market changes and this team makes millions of dollars. Now, because society only looks at outcomes, they confuse luck for genius.
Right. They look at the money and say, wow, our strategy was brilliant.
Exactly, when really their internal process was a total disaster.
So they learned the completely wrong lesson. They'll probably use that same terrible process for their next product, but next time they won't have the lucky market shift to save them.
And that's when the company collapses. You know, you can also see the reverse.
How so?
Well, you can make a highly logical, deeply researched decision and still fail because, say, a global pandemic hits.
Right, something totally out of your control.
Yeah. And if you only look at the final result, you end up punishing yourself for making a smart choice. To build true consistency, you have to measure the quality of your decision-making process, not just the outcome.
It reminds me of people going to the gym.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's say it's early summer, you get super intense, you go to the gym twice a day, you stop eating all the foods you actually enjoy, all driven by this burning passion to look perfect for the beach.
We've all been there.
Right. But by October, the beach weather is gone.
Yeah.
That initial why just evaporates.
Yep, the passion drops to zero.
Exactly. And because your process was so extreme, you just stopped going completely.
That roller coaster is exactly what happens when you chase outcomes through passion. The experts suggest a totally different approach.
Which is?
Well, the people who reach the absolute top of their fields, the world number ones, they don't make dramatic overnight changes. They focus on a 1-degree shift.
A 1-degree shift.
Yeah. Imagine two parallel lines drawn on a piece of paper. If you move one line just one single degree, it barely looks different near the starting point.
It's
Right?
noticeable, yeah.
But if you draw that line out over 10 years, The distance between where you started and where you end up is massive.
So instead of changing everything about your life in one day,
Mm.
you make a tiny sustainable change that you can actually repeat forever.
Exactly. And this philosophy applies directly to how high achievers handle their personal skills, too. We are culturally programmed to obsess over our weaknesses.
Oh, totally.
Like if you get an A in English and a D in math, what do your parents do? They hire a math tutor.
Right. You have to fix the D.
But top achievers flip this entirely. They figure out what they are naturally exceptional at, and they pour their energy into making that strength world-class.
Wow.
If you spend your whole life trying to fix a fundamental weakness, you might just become incredibly average at everything.
But let's look at the reality of this. If we're relying on these small one-degree changes and we're focusing on our process rather than guaranteed outcomes, well, eventually that process is going to lead to failure.
Oh, inevitably.
Right. Messing up is just a fact of life. So how do these top performers handle it when they fail?
This brings us to a huge concept mindset. To put it simply, it's the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset.
Okay.
In a fixed mindset, you believe your abilities are just locked in place. You think talent is a genetic gift. You either have it or you don't.
So if a fixed mindset is so dangerous, how does it actually play out in high-stakes environments? Like what happens to prodigies in elite sports?
We can actually look at the Youth Academy for Manchester United as a perfect case study. Yeah, imagine a highly skilled teenager who is invited to join this elite football club. From day one, everyone tells him he is a natural talent.
They just constantly praise his innate ability.
Exactly. And because he has a fixed mindset, he internalizes this. He thinks, I am special. My talent guarantees my success.
So he doesn't feel the need to work hard.
Right. As a result, he stops putting in the extra hours of practice. When the training gets difficult, he just avoids it because having to try hard would mean he isn't a natural genius after all.
That completely destroys his work ethic.
It does. And the second danger of the fixed mindset is even worse. When that teenager inevitably faces a stronger opponent and fails, his entire identity crumbles.
Because he tied everything to being a natural.
Yes. He interprets that single failure as proof that he actually has no talent, and he completely gives up.
Wow. So to drive real growth, you really have to praise the effort, not the talent.
100%.
You know, if you want your team to be innovative, you have to celebrate the fact that they tried an experiment, even if it didn't work. In the corporate world, there's this famous management system called Six Sigma.
Oh, yeah, I know it.
Yeah. Its entire goal is to make manufacturing perfect by eliminating any variation or errors.
Right. Zero defects.
Exactly. But innovation is the exact opposite of Six Sigma. I mean, true innovation requires variation. It requires you to try weird things and fail.
Yeah.
If you punish failure, your team will be absolutely terrified to try anything new.
You've hit on the core mechanism there, and to handle that necessary failure, a person needs genuine resilience. What they don't need is fragile self-esteem.
Fragile self-esteem.
Yeah, for the past few decades, many education systems tried to protect children's feelings by giving everyone a sticker just for participating.
Right. The participation trophies.
Exactly. They designed games where nobody kept score just to ensure no child ever felt the pain of losing.
But protecting them from losing actually harmed them deeply in the long run.
It absolutely did. It robbed them of the chance to practice recovering from pain. When those kids leave the controlled environment of school and enter the adult world, the shock is devastating.
Because the real world doesn't give you a sticker just for showing up.
No, it doesn't. And when they experience their first professional or romantic failure, they just don't have the psychological tools to handle it. True resilience means you have the capacity to fall down, feel the intense disappointment, and still choose to get back up.
This connects so perfectly to what happens to many of us in our 20s and 30s.
Oh, the comparison trap.
Yes. We face what the sources call the curse of comparison. Everyone is desperately trying to project a flawless life.
It's exhausting.
It is. We open Instagram and compare our own messy, confusing reality to someone else's perfectly filtered vacation photos.
It creates a deep sense of isolation. I mean, you are comparing your internal hidden struggles to everyone else's carefully curated external highlights.
Yes. Like you are sitting at home in your pajamas eating hummus directly from the container, feeling completely lost in your career. Very specific, but yes.
Right. And you look online and think, I am the only person failing at life.
But the research shows a beautiful counter-strategy. When we drop that perfect mask, when we share our vulnerabilities and admit we are struggling, That is where true human connection actually happens.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, what feels like your most personal secret shame often turns out to have universal resonance. You say, I feel lost, and a dozen people reply, me too.
Shame loses its power the moment you realize it's a shared human experience.
Exactly.
So, logically, we understand all of this. We know we should embrace a growth mindset. We know we shouldn't compare ourselves to social media. We know we should accept failure.
Right.
But let's be honest. When you actually get rejected from a job or you go through a painful heartbreak, your brain completely ignores logic. We just react with pure, chaotic emotion.
We really do.
Why does our brain completely betray our rational thoughts like that?
Well, to understand that reaction, we need to dive into Professor Steve Peters' chimp model of the brain.
The chimp model. Yeah, he divides the brain into 3 distinct psychological systems to help us visualize our behavior.
What are they?
First, you have the chimp. This is the primitive, emotional, impulsive, and short-term thinking part of your brain. Second, you have the human, which is the logical, rational center that deals with facts.
Okay, chimp and human. And the third.
Finally, there is the computer. This acts like a hard drive, storing your core values, beliefs, and automatic habits.
You know, the sources shared a very raw story about this chimp taking over.
Oh, the breakup story.
Yes. The speaker was going through a romantic breakup. And it was actually his choice to end the relationship, right? He logically knew it wasn't working.
Right.
But just 2 days later, he found out his ex had slept with someone else.
Ouch.
Yeah. And even though he logically chose to break up, when he heard that news, his chimp just started screaming. His immediate thought was, I want revenge. I want to message her and ruin her life.
What's fascinating here is that this intense, seemingly crazy reaction is 100% healthy.
Wait, really? Healthy?
Yes. It's a natural biological response driven by evolution. The chimp's primary job is the survival of the species, which means protecting the tribe and securing reproduction.
Okay, I see.
So when you lose a mate, even if your rational human brain wanted to end it, the chimp perceives a massive threat to its evolutionary goals. It triggers a deep physiological grieving process.
And you can't just skip that process with logic.
Right.
Like you can't just tell yourself, well, logically we weren't a good match, so I am fine.
No, you really can't. It's biologically impossible to outlogic the chimp overnight. The mind takes roughly 12 weeks to process that kind of severe emotional shock.
12 weeks.
Yeah, about 12 weeks. The brain literally has to rewire the chemical dependencies it built around that person. The chimp has to cycle through anger, bargaining, and deep sadness. You can't speed up that process any more than you can heal a broken leg by yelling at it.
That is such a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So if we are stuck with an angry, grieving chimp for 12 weeks, how do we manage it? Because letting it scream and demand revenge isn't going to lead to a good life.
You have to use the human part of the brain to feed the chimp facts.
Facts.
But here's the crucial detail. They must be real, undeniable facts, not fake positivity.
Give me an example.
Sure. If you go through a terrible breakup and your chimp is telling you that you're ugly and you'll die alone, it does not help if a friend says, no, you're the most beautiful person in the world.
Because the chimp isn't stupid. It knows that it's just a polite opinion, not a fact.
Exactly. The chimp rejects toxic positivity. Instead, you have to present the chimp with rational facts that it cannot argue with.
Like what?
You remind yourself of reality. You say, the fact is millions of people go through breakups every day and survive. The fact is most people eventually find another compatible partner.
Right.
If I take time to heal and then socialize, statistically, my chances of meeting someone are very high. Feeding the chimp these solid grounding facts helps it settle down. It gives the primitive brain a sense of security while it heals.
Okay, so we know how to use facts to calm our emotional chimp during a major crisis. But what about the rest of the time?
What do you mean?
Like, how do we build a baseline of happiness in our everyday lives when there isn't a crisis? One of the experts in the sources, Mo Gaudat, takes a totally mathematical approach to this.
Ah, yes, Mo Gaudat.
Yeah, he argues that true happiness isn't found at a loud party or by buying a new car. He calls those things states of escape.
He draws a hard line between having fun and actually being happy.
Right.
He argues that baseline happiness is highly predictable, and he created an equation for it. He says, happiness is equal to or greater than your perception of the events of your life minus your expectations of how life should behave.
Let me make sure I'm fully grasping this.
Oh.
It is not the event itself that makes us unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
It is how we perceive the event compared to what we expected.
Exactly.
The sources used a great analogy about rain. Rain itself doesn't have emotions, right? It's just water falling from clouds.
Right.
If you just planted a garden and you want your flowers to grow, rain meets your expectations, so you're happy. But if you planned a day to sunbathe at the beach, the exact same rain breaks your expectations and you are furious.
That perfectly illustrates the mechanism. Think about why human beings feel so calm and relaxed when we hike in a forest.
Okay.
A forest is actually a mess. There are bugs everywhere, the trees are crooked, the ground is covered in dirt and rotting leaves. It is complete, uncontrolled chaos.
Yeah, that's true.
But we love it. Why? Because we expect nature to be chaotic. We don't walk into a forest expecting perfect right angles and air conditioning. Because our expectations match the reality, we experience peace.
Wait, so if my flight gets canceled or I lose my job, I'm just supposed to artificially lower my expectations to zero and pretend to be happy? That sounds completely impossible.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's not about blindly lowering your expectations. It's about actively managing your perception.
How do you do that?
Mo Gaudat developed what he calls a Jedi Master level of happiness. It's a simple flowchart for handling negative thoughts when things go wrong.
Okay, walk me through it.
Step 1, when a negative thought enters your mind, ask yourself, is this thought actually true?
True as in factual.
Yes. For example, if your boss gives you constructive feedback on Friday, and your thought on Sunday is, I am a total failure and they are going to fire me, ask yourself if that extreme thought is a literal fact.
And usually it's not. Your chimp is just catastrophizing.
Exactly.
But what if the thought is true? What if you actually did get fired?
Then you move to step 2, can I do something about it? If the answer is yes, then your job is to act. Don't sit in your room feeling sorry for yourself. Update your resume, send an email, network, fix the problem. Action cures the anxiety.
But inevitably, we face things we truly cannot fix.
And that brings us to step 3, the most profoundly challenging part of the equation, committed acceptance. This is strictly for the things in life that are irreversible.
And Mo Gaudat had to apply this in the most heartbreaking situation imaginable.
He really did.
He lost his 21-year-old son, Ali, during a routine medical operation due to a surgical error. It was a sudden tragedy that he fundamentally could not change. He couldn't do anything to bring his son back.
It is the ultimate test of his own philosophy. Mo Gaudat explained that he would wake up every morning crying, and his first thought was the crushing reality that his son died. He didn't try to use fake positivity. He didn't ignore the fact.
But instead of letting that singular fact destroy his own life, he practiced committed acceptance.
Yes. He added a second clause to the thought. He told himself, yes, he died, but he also lived.
Wow. He consciously chose to manage his perception.
He focused on the 21 years of beautiful memories they shared, and then he committed to spreading his son's message of joy to the world. He accepted the pain, he didn't fight reality, but he chose to build a meaningful life anyway.
And this ties directly into the proven science of neuroplasticity, doesn't it?
It does. Our brains physically rewire themselves based on the thoughts we repeat.
It's like going to the gym for your mind.
Exactly. If you spend every day watching toxic news, scrolling through angry social media arguments, and complaining about the weather, you are literally working out your unhappiness muscles. You are physically training your neural pathways to become an expert at finding what is wrong with the world.
So happiness isn't a passive state. It's a daily choice. You have to actively build healthier neural pathways. You have to choose to focus on facts to calm your chimp. You have to manage your expectations against reality. And you have to accept the things you cannot change.
It all comes down to taking personal responsibility for how you process the world around you, rather than waiting for the world to perfectly align with your desires.
We have covered some truly powerful ideas today, and this is specifically for you, the person listening right now. Think about the psychological journey we just took together.
It's been quite a ride.
It has. We dropped the heavy, unrealistic pressure of trying to hunt for one singular passion. We learned that to be truly successful, we need to praise our own effort and systemize one-degree changes, rather than obsessing over unpredictable outcomes.
We also discovered how to tame our inner emotional chimp by feeding it calm, undeniable facts.
Yes. And finally, we explored how to balance our own happiness equation by deeply managing our expectations.
I want to leave you with a final thought to consider as you go about your day. Look at a recent frustration in your life. It could be a minor annoyance or a major setback. Are you letting your inner chimp argue with reality, or are you ready to stop, take a breath, and ask yourself, is this thought actually true, and what can I realistically do about it right now?
Thank you for learning with English through ideas. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe for more ideas, more English, and more growth.